Hello, and welcome to episode number 257 of the TEW 2020 Challenge Run. This is going to be Monday Night Raw for week 2 of June 2022, and we are 1 week removed from the horrors of last week's Raw/Heat show. But that's behind us now. We move on to the road to Money in the Bank. We've got the last Raw qualifier this week, which is going to be between Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, Angelo Dawkins, and Montez Ford in a Fatal 4-Way. We've got Alba Fire versus Ruby Riott in a women's qualifier. And we found out a lot of interesting stuff last week. Omos became the number 1 contender. Cameron Grimes entered the mattress shop. Julia betrayed Asuka, and her and Scarlett joined the grand jury. What else happened, really? And of course, Brandy Rhodes on Heat. I sort of glossed over it because I was still angry, but she got attacked by some mystery lady by the name of Florence. We don't actually know her name yet, but you saw it on the screen somehow. Anyway, without any further ado, let's jump straight into the show. We open up the American Airlines Center with World Heavyweight Champion Big E and the rest of the New Day coming out. And he says, "So, last week, I was sat at ringside. I was watching the main event Battle Royal to determine who would face me for my World Heavyweight Championship at Money in the Bank. And the winner was the Nigerian giant, the 7'3", Omos." Now, obviously, he's a rather large fellow, you know. But I pride myself on wanting to see big, meaty men slap meat. And us two pieces of dark meat, we're going to slap each other the fuck out of each other at Money in the Bank. But let it be known, Omos, you're messing with the wrong guy, the wrong champion. You may not have been pinned, but I'm sure that'll end up Money in the Bank because I'm going to do what I can. You have to kill me to take this title off me. Because I got the better of you back at the Royal Rumble, and I'm going to get the better of you again at Money in the Bank. Then Omos and Bivens come out, and Bivens like, "You must be confused, E, because let's get one thing for sure. You've never faced anybody like the Nigerian giant Omos, okay? 7'3", 380 pounds. Your next world heavyweight champion. He's dominated everybody that he's put in front of him. Of course, because of me by his side. When he had AJ Styles by his side, he wasn't as dominant. But hey, that's by the by. But E, let it be known, he dominated you last week. He dominated your two friends last week. All in one fell swoop. And you think that you just by yourself are going to be enough to defeat the Nigerian giant Omos at Money in the Bank? You're mistaken, E. I love you, E. Like, you're my brother. But, come on, man. Think logically here." And then E's like, "Oh, you think you can beat my brothers, do you? Well, how about you put your money in your mouth and you face one of my brothers right now?" And the Woods is like, No, E. We don't want to face Omos one-on-one, me or Kof. We'll both take him on in a handicap match to see if this guy's really got what his money, going to put his money where his mouth is." And Bivens is like, "Well, I was hoping you'd never ask. Omos, accept your challenge for right now." So we're going to open up the show. Omos is going to face Kofi and Woods in a handicap match. And Omos wins him. He pins them both, double choke slam, stacks them up. 1, 2, 3. The Nigerian giant looking like a threat heading into Money in the Bank. 77 for Omos, 94 for Woods, 84 for Kofi. And yeah, Omos with an emphatic victory. And maybe Big E did bite off more than he can chew, because how can anyone stop this 7'3" Nigerian beast, Omos? We then cut to Alexa's office. And Ivy's there, obviously cross-armed, ready to, in case anyone kicks off. But Rhea comes in. It's like, I heard you want to see me, Alexa. It's like, I did, in fact, Rhea. You see, here's the situation regarding the Raw Women's Championship. Okay, so, it's going to sound odd, given what happened last week, but hear me out. Because I take, like, momentum and wins and rankings seriously in this division. I want this to be the best division we can. You see, Asuka technically is the number 1 contender for the Raw Women's Championship. And I know she lost last week in a Money in the Bank qualifier, but due to the situations regarding that loss, I feel like even with that defeat, she is going to be the person that you're defending against at Money in the Bank. And Ray's like, "Well, cool, that sounds sick. Me and Asuka will have a great match." It's like, well, the difference, Asuka's not here tonight, obviously, because she got attacked last week. So that's if she can make it to Money in the Bank, she'll be your opponent for there. But yeah, Asuka versus Rhea will be the match at Money in the Bank. And Rhea's like, well, cool. Anything for me tonight? And Alexa's like, no. Why would I have anything for you tonight? And Rhea's like, well, because I'm the goddamn champion. Why wouldn't you? He's like, oh, right, no, you can go home. It's fine, I just wanted to tell you that. Rhea's like, what the fuck? So yeah, Asuka, I know Asuka just lost, but come along with me here. I thought this was an interesting, like, thing. A way to go about announcing the match is that Asuka's still technically the contender, even though she lost. Like, Alexa has some sort of structure to her division. And, like, it can't always just be this person wins contenders match, this person attacks the champion, blah, blah, blah. I thought, yeah, this is a good way to have Asuka still lose, but still be in contention. Not all matches need, like, fucking 6 weeks of build-up. We're going to announce that Asuka is challenging Rhea for the belt at Money in the Bank, if she's there, because she's still out after she got attacked by Julia and Scarlett last week. Speaking of Money in the Bank, Liv Morgan is in that match. And she's kind of playing with the rest of the Balor Club, because she's actually the only member of the Balor Club repped at Money in the Bank. Because Finn's not in, neither are Ridge and Santos. And Finn's like, you say this next Sunday is going to be a great night for the Balor Club, because we're going to see our girl. We finally got one on our side, Liv Morgan. She's going to win that women's Money in the Bank ladder match and finally bring gold back to the Balor Club whenever we feel like it. And I was like, you know, ever since I found you guys really cared for me and cared about my well-being, and you really want to help me in my career. I'm going to repay you with a victory, and I'm also going to repay you next week, because we're going to announce here, I guess. Next week on Raw will be the 8 men in Money in the Bank. So, the 3 we've got from Raw are Breeze, Riddle, Garza, and then the winner of the main event against the 4 from SmackDown, like Raw versus SmackDown, the 4 men, and then we're going to do the women's version of that on next week's SmackDown. But that frees up Liv for next week's Raw. We're going to finally get 4v4 complete match, Balor Club versus Hit Row. So that's 2 8-man tags announced for Raw next week. What in the AEW is this? But first, Veer Mahan is coming to Raw. 67 match. Ludwig beats another quick luchador called Azulio. I think this is actually, the mask I've used here is actually Dante Martin when he was Airwolf. So I was like, oh no, that's not going to be in use in the world. So that will do as a generic mask is to put on this developmental guy that I've borrowed and stuck a mask on. To get him the popularity rub. 77 for Ludwig, 30 for Azulio. Then after the match, Ludwig's had enough. This isn't the luchador he's after, but he'll still take this shit mask to hold in his locker. Out comes El Generico. We finally see him. And he's like, Ludwig in his broken Mexican accent. He's like, El Ludwig. Sammy, tell me you look for me? Sammy, tell me you want me. My mask. And Ludwig sort of like gives an evil smile. Like, finally, this fucker. This is the generic luchador mask I wanted. And Generico's like, well, I face you, Money in the Bank. You beat me, you take mask. And Ludwig's like, fine, I accept. So, announce for Money in the Bank, Ludwig will take on El Generico with his mask hanging in the balance. Ludwig looking to claim the best prize yet for his collection. That being Ludwig, El Generico's mask. Also, side note about Ludwig, this is just nothing like actually to do with his character, it's just a funny bit that we thought of. Last week, I purchased Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and because they were going out of business, and I did the thing where I was like, oh, I'll take all their belts and shit. So, just a funny headcanon thing we thought of is Ludwig has the CWFH belts just hanging in his lair. Because I bought them, I've got no use for them, so like, yeah, Ludwig, you can have those. You can just take them. We then come back to Alexa, who's got her head in her hand, like holding her head in pain. And then we pan out and we see Riddler, like, so what I'm saying, bro, is like, it's really sick, you know, dude. Like, I tried to do that, bro, but I couldn't quite do it. But then I realized life's not about being fair. It's all about doing your best for your bestest bros. And Alexa's like, is there a point to this story? So, because the implication is that Riddle's been stood there for like 10 minutes just rambling about nonsense to Alexa. It's like, yeah, or what I was saying, bro, is that, like, I'm gonna be Money in the Bank, bro, and I think if we got no match for the Intercontinental Championship on that pay-per-view, we should get the chance to win it, bro, and represent, go into that match as the Intercontinental Champion, bro. It's just like, okay, well, I mean, you are on a good run, and as much as you may be, you know, irritating, you do have a good point. And Dixie walks in, like, honey, don't tell me you're considering giving out a championship opportunity to anyone in Money in the Bank that's not my boo, Angel Garza. And Alexa's like, oh, what the oh my god, stop. And then Breeze walks in and goes, well, since these two are both in Money in the Bank, I guess I'll also come in here. Alexa, nice to see you picked up on my hint the other week to get security. And I think you should actually reward me for putting that idea in your head to give me a potential Intercontinental Championship match tonight. And Alexa sort of like looks at Wardon, like looks him up and down, like all thirstily, and she's like, oh no, I kind of like what this guy's offering more, you know. But he's like, ignore him! He's in my bad books after last week. He's lucky he's even with me tonight. But okay, so me and you, Alexi, we got this, yeah? And she's like, look, I'll tell you what I'll do. Tonight, triple threat match, Riddle, Garza, Breeze. Winner of that match will face Cameron Grimes next week for the Intercontinental Championship. Is that good? And then Breeze's like, yeah, that's great. And then everybody leaves, and Warden's the last to leave. And Alexa's like, looks at him as he leaves, implying that she's, you know, thirsting over our Giga Chad over here. 77, good match. The final Raw Women's competitor in Money in the Bank is confirmed as Alba Fire defeats Ruby Riott in 11 minutes with the reverse code red. 71 for Alba, 67 for Ruby. So now we know Alba Fire, Charlotte Flair, Nova Nebula, Liv Morgan, Toni Storm, Shotzi Blackheart, Raquel Rodriguez, and one of Bayley or Cora Jade to be the match. But first, the anime boys have found their target. It's like, okay, so we think we have a lead, gentlemen. Bandit gathers them all together and they're like, well, this is it. This is our first true adventure as a group. You know, Manny's like, you know, what's our cool, badass anime group name? Are we like Team Awesome? Dude's like, nah, man, that sucks. Like, he's like, well, have you got any better ideas? And then they start arguing over team names, and Saray sort of like gets upset because the team's arguing. And then Bandit jumps in like, no, we'll deal with this another time. But what matters more is we get Saray her necklace back. And he sort of like adjusts something like a little teleportation device, and he's like, well, this is it, guys. All for one, one for all. Let's begin this journey. And then boom, teleportation thing goes off and they all disappear off on their journey, their first ever arc to find Saray's necklace. So Dio Senpai here, this gentleman, a couple of weeks ago in the game, it was reported that he'd started a band. I was like, oh, this could eventually take him out. Like, he could go on tour with his band. And then last week, he's already taken a tour for his new band. So he leaves in 3 months, which is actually fine, because that's 12 weeks. And that's an entire, you know, season of a show. So Dio's going to be here, and then once this season finishes, I guess we'll have a season without him. Then he'll be back. But yeah, so 3 months, Dio will leave on a tour, but this season of My Wrestling Academia should be over by then. If only there's a big pay-per-view coming up in about 2 months that, you know. The Karrion Kross Cult make their first entrance together as a trio. And Cross is like, ladies and gentlemen, you're about to witness the next crusade of my genocide. Not only is Carcass here to watch, but Cutler too. These two people know that I'm gonna take this to the top. Nothing personal, kid. What the fuck? He gets a 70 for this random squash match of Clinton Morton. 41 seconds, nothing personal. Defense number 3 of the WWE Carnage title. 80 for Cross, 51 for Clinton. And the self-proclaimed greatest win streak in wrestling history continues here tonight. Backstage, R-Truth's watching on, and he's like, that's my baby. My baby's he's hanging around with bad influences. I gotta save my baby. Then Titus walks in, Big Bag Thad walks in, and he's like, hey Truth, we met up last week, and I was sort of just checking on, have you considered this? Because this could really take off. I really feel like you could be a good part of this with me. Truth's like, dog, I'm trying to get my baby back first. I can't think about anything else about you're trying to give me. And Ty's like, okay, well, consider the offer. I think you'd be a good fit. And he walks off. Like, who knows what Titus is planning here? Something. He wants R-Truth in, I guess, Titus Worldwide. Who knows? 99 rated segment. Out come the new grand jury, including the 2 women that joined last week. And it's like, what did I tell? I tried to warn you all that there was more of us out there, but you just didn't listen. Asuka didn't listen, that's for damn sure, because it was so simple. We played her like a book. Julia knew that she knew where to be, but she wanted to further her career, and that was a member of this grand jury. And to make her mark, she had to take out Asuka. And she did that. She lulled her into a false sense of security. She led her to believe that Micah was the problem, but she knew deep down that this was how this was going to end. And lo and behold, Asuka's getting a championship opportunity at Money in the Bank, so I guess it all worked out for everybody then, didn't it? But let's not make no mistake about it, because whoever the Raw Women's Champion is only keeping that title warm until one of us makes our play for it. And then Julia takes the mic, and she speaks in Japanese, but I'd have Edge. No, Polly Priest, actually, because I like Damian Priest has that brooding, evil voice, so he'd probably be the best translator for the promo. And she explains, like, ever since I came to WWE, I was originally one of 5, then one of 3. We were only ever brought in to be Asuka's lackeys, and to make sure Asuka got back to the top, and Asuka was dawdling for so long she couldn't get the job done. So why am I doing this? If I'm gonna be a lackey for anybody, why not actually learn from a Hall of Famer, a future Hall of Famer, and all these other legends in the grand jury? Why am I wasting my time with Asuka and a tag team partner who's not on my level? Because make no mistake about it, I am the future of the Raw Women's division. And I will get there once I join the grand jury. And Scarlett takes the mic. And she's like, for years, I was floundering too. I was lost ever since I went through a troubling breakup. I didn't really I couldn't find my own identity. I couldn't land on my own 2 feet here on Raw. And that's when Edge saved me. He reached out to me, knowing that I could be so much better than what I was. And now I see the light. And now everybody else, Asuka, Rhea, Bianca, everybody on Raw, they're all just going to be new marbles to put on our scale of justice to take over this division as well as the entire roster. So then we're going to get a tag match, Julia teaming with Scarlett against the Proudland Princesses. They pick up a win, obviously. There's no sort of chemistry notes, which is why we're sort of checking here. But Julia wins, driving crossbody. 71 for Scarlett, 79 for Julia, 67 for Skylar, 66 for Aaliyah. Then after the match, out comes Micah. We said that Asuka wasn't here because she got attacked last week, but Julia sent Micah home, so she wasn't here last week to get attacked, but she's here now. She sort of gets in Julia's face like, what are you doing, bitch? Like, we had a sisterhood. Why have you thrown this all away? Why have you snaked me and Asuka for this fucking piece of shit stable? Obviously not verbatim. But then Julia and Scarlett are like, okay, we're not going to attack you, like, okay, it's fine, chill. But then the shocking revelation is that Judgment Day 3, one of the master people, attacks Micah. So without explicitly saying it outright, you can sort of get an idea of this may not be a male under this hood. Hit Row are reacting to the announcement of Balor Club and Hit Row finally going 4-on-4 next week. And diss track on Balor Club once and for all. Because this petty grudge is going to finally end next week. Or so we hope, at least. I thought I'd click next segment. Speaking of stables, the Hurt Business are reacting to a Hit Row's diss track. They're like, man, those guys kind of heat, Bobby. You know what I mean? But if they're coming to think they're the top group here on Monday Night Raw, they're a lot mistaken, because it's you, the almighty Bobby Lashley, the colossal Bronson Reed, and prime time Ronnie Hughes coming to take over Raw. And now those Blitzkrieg boys, they got a problem with us, Bobby. So we're going to sit this one out and let Bronson and Ronnie take care of things. So then we get the tag match. Gets an 80. Bronson and Ronnie of the Hurt Business do beat Blitzkrieg boys, Dragunov and Connors. Ronnie pins Joseph Connors with a flash pounce. 70 for Ronnie, 81 for Bronson, 73 for Joseph Connors, 72 for Dragunov. So Connors actually outscored. Okay, that's interesting. I always penciled Ilja in as the star here, but that's an interesting score. Path of the Dragon are finally in the building. They finally come to the ring. And they're talking about Money in the Bank. Xia Li's got the mic. She's like, our friends sense great danger. But what is great danger if not an obstacle to overcome? You see, after months of training, our friends finally feel like we're ready to defeat the Raw Tag Team Champions of Money in the Bank. And last week they got a win. They want to keep that momentum going with another fight tonight. Then the lights go out, and when they come back on, Susie's back. She was suspended for a month because of painkillers, I think. But she's back here. And she just pops up in the ring in front of Zaya's face. She's like, Zaya puts her hand on her shoulder. She's like, I appreciate you understand the trouble and the impending danger that your friends are in. It's really, really bad. This is your last chance to really protect them. You say you're the protector, Zaya. This is your last chance to protect your friends from grave danger at Money in the Bank. And Zaya sort of like twats her hand off her shoulder. She's like, bitch, fuck you. Let's have a fight right now. So then we get a match. Susie sort of doesn't really put up a fight. She sort of just takes the beating. Zaya beats her with a crossface apparently in 7 minutes. 71 for Susie, 43 for Zaya. And Zaya stands tall over Susie, and Susie sort of like starts weeping in the corner. Then her face suddenly changes to an evil smirk as the lights go off and on, and then the Fiend and Willow are in the ring behind Zaya, who turns around and like is face to face with the Fiend and Willow when the Path of the Dragon boys try and jump them, and they're starting to get overpowered. But then they realise there's a third man. Big Zergus does his big step over the top rope, and he grabs Willow by the throat, plants Willow down with a big choke slam. He starts doing that weird Willow scream like he does when Willow's in pain to keep the character going. And the Fiend sort of looks down at him and looks up at Zergus. And oh, we're going to get a fight. Zergus and Bray start fucking just wailing at each other. Big hard hits against each other. And Zergus grabs the Fiend by the throat. He goes to deliver the chokeslam, and the lights go off again, and they come back on, and all three of these are gone. But then we get the announcement. Next week here on Raw, singles action. Zergus the Mighty goes one-on-one with the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Alba, she's backstage, she's sort of changing out of her gear, celebrating her win that she can be a part of Money in the Bank, when we hear sarcastic clapping. And guess who it belongs to? Wow, it's good to know that baby Becky got the job done. Look, Becky's off to be a mommy. She left her other little baby here to do her own handiwork for her, woo. Well, try not to get lost without Becky, Woo, because on next Sunday, you're going to be face to face with the Queen and 6 other women, but they don't really matter because I'm going to pull that briefcase down and win, Woo, because I win matches. That is what I do. My victory is inevitable. If you don't believe me, look at this tag team championship, Woo. Then Nova walks in. She's like, "You're talking a big game, Charlotte. You know, last week I nearly had you. You may have beaten me, but that's really my first big test here on Raw. But I've learned from my mistakes, and I'm coming to pull that briefcase down, whether you like it or not." Then Liv walks in. She's like, "No, that's mine, bitch. I'm gonna fucking win that briefcase." So just a nice back and forth between the 4 confirmed women in Money in the Bank. Oh my! In an 89 rated match, we determine who the new number 1 contender for the Intercontinental Champion is. Angel Garza defeats Matt Riddle and Tyler Breeze with a wing clipper. Well, he pins Tyler Breeze with a wing clipper even. Riddle gets a 93, a 72 for Breeze, and a 78 for Garza. The match gets an 89. That's even with a lack of psychology. But yeah, next week, we've got stacked Raw already being announced. We've got the 4v4 for the men's Money in the Bank competitors. We've got the 4v4 Hit Row versus Balor Club. We've got Zergus versus The Fiend. And now an Intercontinental Championship match between Angel Garza and Cameron Grimes. Quick backstage segment. We just see a clip of Mackie like throwing a hissy fit, stamping her feet and going, "No, no!" And that's because Slim Shanky has stolen the J-Flow microphone. And he's spitting hot Indian rap bars. And he's like, yo, it's your boy Slim Shanky. And then like Mackie's trying to like jump up and grab the microphone out of his hand, but because Shanky's 7 feet tall, she can't quite reach it. And Shanky just spitting his hot fire into the microphone. When he turns around and the Miz sort of just is there glaring at him. And he sort of embarrassingly slows down and stops. And Miz is like, "What are you doing? What is this? Give them the microphone back." And Shanky's like, "Sorry." Hands on the microphone, and Mackie's like, and then the 5J Flow girls will storm off. And Miz like, "I don't know what you got up to on your time away, but this isn't a thing, okay?" And he walks off, and Shanky just sort of looks there all defeated. And he turns around again, and Tozawa O'Neill's there. It's like, "Well, I thought you were pretty good. Here, consider this." Hands him the same card that he handed R-Truth. And he walks off, and Shanky sort of looks at it. He's like, interesting. Quick backstage segment. Omos storming through the hallway. Kevin Patrick comes up to him like, "Omos, can I get a word from you heading into Money in the Bank?" And Omos grabs him by the throat, pins him up against the wall. And Bivens is like, "You want a quick word? I'll give you a quick word." Omos will give you a quick word. Bivens gives him the microphone and he says, Omos goes, "At Money in the Bank, I become the World Heavyweight Champion." And sort of puts Patrick down on the floor. Bivens sort of adjusts his tie and shit, so it looks like Omos didn't grab him. Then he walk off. Fuck off! So Montez Ford wins to get into Money in the Bank. Or does he? Because he broke his fucking pelvis. Can you tell that I recently put the injury frequency up based on things I've happened in real life? I know you can work through some broken stuff, but a broken pelvis doesn't sound like something he can work through, so that's kind of annoying. I guess we're going to have to just not put him in Money in the Bank after all. 77 for Ford. This whole thing was designed to get Montez Ford in Money in the Bank, and he's fucked up for himself. 75 for Angelo, 77 for Ford, 69 for Dominic, 79 for Ray. And yeah, I guess Montez Ford gets in Money in the Bank for all we know right now. But the show's not over, because we've got the main event of the actual show as a segment. But first, Cameron Grimes walks into the office of the mattress room salesman, and it's all really dark and like we're going to play it off as like really spooky and ominous. And then Grimes like, hello, I'm here for the mattress. I need a good rest. And like it echoes around the room, and then he accidentally touches something. Like, what the hell is that? And then the lights flicker on, and Jiro's there. He's like, surprise, customer! And he blows a he's like, welcome, I'm leader of Big Mattress Inc. And Guam's like, Ikeman Jiro. It's like, no, Big Mattress Jiro. And Guam's like, what is this? Like, you see, I may be style strong, but I'm also sleep strong. My family business sells these one-of-a-kind, world-class mattresses. And Guam's like, okay, well, I kind of want one. I heard that they're really good, and I really need a rest. I got a title match next week, and I want to be in fully fit shape for it. And Jiro's like, no worry, this right here is the perfect one. And he slaps it, bang, bang, bang. Like, it costs this much. He hands him the check. He's like, that's a lot of zeros. It's like, yes, but once you sleep on Big Mattress, you'll never be tired again. And God's like, well, is it really that good? And Jiro's like, yeah, you see, Wendy up front, she could never sleep, but now she sleeps like baby. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll take it. And then we get the funny comedy spot of Wendy, like, sleeping in the most uncomfortable position. So you're sort of like, well, if she can't sleep, why is she sleeping on this random fucking bench outside? So, but Grimes, he's paying for the mattress, you know. But of course, there's one man we haven't seen tonight. And that's because he's closing the goddamn show. Wrestling has more than one royal family. Out comes Cody and Dustin. Cody's like, well, I was color me surprised last week when I came out here with my brother and there was no members of Regal or his little coalition anywhere to be found. I thought we'd caught a break. We had a nice week off from Regal and his bullshit. Then I come to find out that my lovely wife, Brandy, who runs Monday Night Heat, after the show, she was laid out by a mystery assailant. And while I'm not one to point fingers, I'm innocent until proven guilty is my way of life, I can't help but feel like I know who was behind this attack. And Regal, if you've got problems with me, you've got problems with my brother, you can leave my wife out of this, because now you've really made it personal. And then Regal and the coalition pop on the side and was like, Cody, what are you implying here, you Sunshine? Are you implying that me and my boys would hire a mystery hit woman to attack your wife, to send you a message for being such a damn rapscallion, a damn coward? I would never do such a thing. Me and my boys were... If we have a problem with you, we'll come and say it face to face, and don't believe me or not, we will be coming out there face to face in just a moment's notice, but first I want you to listen to this. Just because we have an issue with you doesn't mean that we hired a hit woman to assault your wife. See, I'm a gentleman. I would be above something like that. But that's not to say that your wife didn't create enemies of her own, that somebody felt wanted to attack her and then aligned with us due to a common enemy. And then the woman walks into frame. She's like, Cody, Dustin, this is Florence, and maybe you'll learn now that just because your wife is your wife and your sister-in-law doesn't mean they can't be enemies, and they can't also need to have a lesson taught to them. Because of Money in the Bank, we're going to teach you a lesson, boys. And I think we've had enough talk now. Let's see you in the ring. And then Regal comes to the ring. Regal's theme hits. Out come the Regal Coalition. Florence is there as well. And Cody takes his tie off, his shoe jacket off. They're ready for a fight. And Regal walks to the ring. Dudley and Pete get on the apron. And Cody and Dustin are calling him in. Like, come on, come on. And Regal's like, actually, I'd rather not waste Dudley and Pete's energy wrestling in a place like Dallas, Texas. We'll see you at Money in the Bank, fellas. And he leaves. And Cody and Dustin are just angrily in the ring as the show goes off the air. 90 rated show, that's fucking good, okay. But the 79 rated main event, we're going to see what Montez Ford's injury is like. I'll probably provide an update on Heat. But yeah, hopefully he can work through it. Broken pelvis doesn't sound like something he can work through though, so I'll keep you informed. So yeah, fucking Ted's is out for 54 days. So him being the good tag team partner and friend that he is, Angelo's going to take his spot in Money in the Bank. You know, I guess that's the benefit of having friends in this business. Anyway, heat time. Shotzi defeats Mina 7-16 with a Fright Night. She gets a 72, Mina gets a 71. Just a nice match to get Shotzi a nice win, momentum towards Money in the Bank and all that. You know, some just simple stuff. Then a quick promo from Toxic Attraction. Still gloating about the events that shall not be named from last week's episode of Heat, and that Kairi and Utami, they're now a woman down. Who knows what sort of friend they're gonna bring? And then JC's like, oh, they can bring another one of their little friends from Japan, and we'll have to knock them out as well, etc. Gigi doesn't say anything because I don't think she's a very good promo. 68 rated match here, which is actually pretty good considering who's in it. But we need to give Micah a win, you know. She's on her own now. Julia turned on her. Asuka's doing other stuff. Just need to let her know that she can still hang. She beats Mia Yim. Cross arm breaker, 932. 64 for Micah, 65 for Mia. Nice win for Micah there. Tag team match, Smile and Shine pick up a win. They're becoming sort of like the Heat workhorses right now. And Kylie Ray pins Valentina with a super kick. 74 for Tegan, 64 for Kylie, 28 for Ulissa, and 29 for Valentina. And then we're going to get a promo from Sasha Banks, who talks about attacking Dakota Kai on SmackDown last week and how, oh, I'm now getting a title shot of Money in the Bank, isn't that nice? So, yeah, just a quick way of announcing that Sasha's going to go to Money in the Bank to wrestle Dakota for the SmackDown Women's title. And then our main event of Heat is a 65. Candice has a nice match with Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany gets a 21, 80 for Candice. And yeah, big win for Candice as we end Heat. Getting a 71. And what matters more than the 71 and the 90 that Raw got is what you thought of the shows. And I'll see you next time for SmackDown. And the first of the last round of group games for the Cruiserweight World Cup. If you get me, like Group A and B are having their last matches on Friday. So yeah, see you then.